I basically just started taking it very seriously. And as soon as I started taking it very seriously, business just simply made sense. So let's talk about iterations. Now, everything in business is based on science, right? Running a business is meant to be scientific. And once you understand that everything you do for your business, right, when it comes to acquisition, when it comes to service delivery, when it comes to hiring, it's literally just all scientific methods, right? And you should approach it from that standpoint of view. Now, before kind of understanding this key concept of operating a business, and I'll get to how you can sort of change your perception on business in just a second, but to give you a little bit of backstory about the way I would operate my digital marketing agency before Say Media is essentially I would just kind of drive the vehicle blind, if that makes sense. Like I would throw stuff at the wall and just kind of try and see what sticks. I would never really collect data, right, the way I'm collecting data right now. And I never iterated my sales process. I never really iterated my email stuff when I first started out. I never really iterated anything, right? I just kind of stayed constant and was not improving for a couple of months, right? Not getting any results. So after I basically understood, what a system is, it's essentially just inputs, go through the processes, and you get output, and from that output you gather feedback and you make your inputs better, right, for the next run. Before I understood it, my business stagnated a lot. Like I wouldn't grow, I wouldn't sign on any clients, I wouldn't close any new deals, and I was always curious or wondering why that is. And it wasn't until literally like a year and a half ago now, maybe a bit more, where I started applying this scientific methodology very seriously. So I started tracking everything, right? I started collecting data for everything. I started to basically try and understand how to conduct, tests, whether it's my email campaigns, whether it's my sales process, my sales pitch, my sales script. I basically just started taking it very seriously. And as soon as I started taking it very seriously, business just simply made sense, if that makes sense. Because now I don't feel blind, right? I don't feel like I'm just driving the whole vehicle blind. I kind of have a sense of direction of where I want to get to with whatever I'm building. And I'm able to basically constantly see, okay, am I getting closer to the goal or am I not getting closer to the goal, right? And that's the key if you want to actually see progress with your business. Now, the way you do this is simply by basically, let's take any aspect of your business right now, whether you run a marketing agency or a B2B company. Let's look at acquisition, right? For example, let's look at acquisition. Now, what is your acquisition sort of deployment method, right? Deployment method is like cold emails, cold calling, cold DMs, LinkedIn outreach, paid advertising maybe. What's your deployment method? Now, let's say your deployment method is cold emails and running emails. You essentially go into your cold emails if you run campaigns before, or if you haven't. If you run campaigns before, you try and go see there. And I want you to basically put into a Google Sheet how many emails you've sent out, what email copies did you use, what lead list did you use, what reply rate you got, what positive response rate you got, what's your negative response rate, what's your email to lead ratio, right? How many emails do you have to send out to get a positive response? What's your email to appointment booking rate, right? So how many emails you send out till you get an appointment. And I want you to just lay out this whole data in a Google Sheet. And if you haven't run campaigns before, then this is essentially what you do when you start running any campaigns. So put that stuff into like a Google Sheet and just try and see where the bottleneck is, right? So let's say you want to get 40, 50 appointments per month, right? And now you're getting like, let's say 10 at best. So, okay, you take your previous campaigns, you put it into a Google Sheet, and you try identify the bottleneck, right? If your response rate is below, let's say 2%, that's a deliverability issue. Fix your deliverability. If it's 3%, right, that means something could be improved, right? Within your copy, maybe your first line could be improved. Maybe your angle could be improved. Your positive rate, right? If it's like 1% or 0.5%, usually you should aim for like a 25 to 30% positive response rate. So if it's like below that, then maybe it's your offer, right? People are just not interested in your offer, right? Maybe your email copy just was not relevant whatsoever to your target audience. So put the data and just try to identify the bottleneck. And then once you get that bottleneck, right, you then come up with some solutions, right? So what I like to call like hypotheses, right? You come up with a hypothesis. Okay, like let's say your response rate is below 2%. So what can you do now, right? What can you test next to improve that response rate? Well, maybe you can just replace your accounts, right? Maybe you want to warm your accounts for longer, right? Try revive them. Maybe you switch from Google to Outlook, right? Just try different things, but test one thing at a time to basically try and see what can be done to fix the issue. And then let's say you want to try out new Google accounts. You buy new Google accounts and then you basically keep everything the same, right? So your email copy that you used in the past, the lead list source that you got, like everything the same apart from the accounts. You then go on to test those accounts for a week, for 2 weeks. You come back and in that same Google Sheet, you just type out test 2 and you put in again your response rate, right? Your positive response, your appointment booking rate, how many emails you need to send to get a positive response or a lead, how many emails you need to send to get an appointment, right? Just write it down and then compare to your previous numbers and see if there's an improvement. That means you're going into the right direction, right? If you went from like a 2% response rate to a 4% response rate, now we move on to the next bottleneck, which is most likely your positive response rate, right? Now the next sort of thing you test is like the angle or the offer, right? You test that, you see if there's been any improvements. In any case that there hasn't been any improvements, or like the data showed you that your metrics came back worse, you go back a step and you basically kind of redo it again with a different hypothesis. Same methodology applies to everything you do, right? When it comes to hiring, right? You gotta have a system for hiring. What's the output, right? What's your A-star player, right? What processes are you gonna go through in order to find that A-star player? What are the inputs, right? The job description, the Google form thing, right? The interview questions maybe that you're asking. Sales process, same thing with sales, right? The process is, the Zoom call. What are the inputs or your pre-nurturing workflows? The sales script, the sales pitch, right? Your tonality even. Now those are your inputs. What's your output? Meaning what's your closing rate, right? If your closing rate is like 10%, it could be improved. What can you improve in the inputs to improve the outputs, right? And then get the feedback and improve the inputs further, right? Until you get to your ideal close rate. So yeah, this is something that I started taking very seriously and something that helped me actually see progress, with my agency, with Amplify even, right? I've launched Amplify earlier this year and I applied the same methodology and I was able to see progress with this offer, right? With anything that you do, you'll be able to, see progress. So one thing I want you to guys take home is just take data seriously, right? Take data seriously. Take this stuff seriously, right? Rather than copying someone's email copy and then just throwing it into your email campaign and hoping for the best, right? Same thing as like throwing stuff at the wall and nothing sticks, or hoping one thing sticks. Instead, take more of a calculated approach, right? Take more of a logical approach to everything that you do within business. Because this is essentially how you are going to see real success, and this is how you're going to, stop stagnating, right, within your growth, and how you're going to be able to achieve growth in the first place. It's all by, inputs, processes, outputs, feedback, iteration. Literally that's the formula to business, right? As at least in my eyes. Obviously there's all the other formulas, but I think this is one of the most important ones. So yeah, right now what I'm gonna do, I actually review all my data every Monday and Friday, right, to make sure that we are hitting our KPIs for myself, for my campaigns, for some of my one-to-one clients, right, to make sure that we are heading towards the right direction. I check my data and I update my data Monday, Friday, but I still check it every day, but I just update it Monday, Friday, once a week. And then I basically have conditional formats in my Google Sheets where if I'm under KPI, it's going to highlight it red and it's going to identify a bottleneck, and then I can go and fix that bottleneck. So yeah, that was my whole conversation with you. I sit down on, just this scientific methodology that you guys should take. Let me know, obviously, if you have any questions on it. I'm going to be more than happy to answer them in the comment section down below. One more thing, if you guys do want to get a free training on how to get your agency from 0 to 10K per month, make sure to join the free community. I'm going to pin that as a comment below this video. So yeah, apart from that, I'll see you guys on the next video.